Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastien. It's Wednesday, February 12th. It's great having you back with us. The plot thickens with regards to the Water and Sewage Corporation, WSC, union's strike. It was reported yesterday that both the Bahamas Utilities Services and Allied Workers Union, or BUSUWU, and the Water and Sewage Management Union, WSMU, were on strike by BUSUWU President Dwayne Woods and WSMU outgoing President Ednal Rolle, respectively. However, today it was a different story. According to Montgomery Miller, who was elected as the president of the WSMU in November of last year, he sought to set the record straight today at a press conference, stating that the management union is not on strike. Now, the main issue on the table is the clash of the presidents.
In order to address this issue and to eliminate all confusion about the questions related to the leadership of the Water and Sewage Management Union, what you would need to appreciate is the union has a constitution that allows for the election of officers for a 3-year period. That is the term in office of our union members. The last election prior to this one in 2019 took place in March of 2016 when Mr. Ednal Rolle, who you would have spoken to, was elected president. March of 2019 came and the time would have expired. And unfortunately, Mr. Rolle did not act, he and his executive team did not act in accordance with the requirements of our Constitution, and they failed to call an election. The members would have appealed to the executive to hold an election within the time, and they didn't do so. As a result, Section 21 of the Industrial Relations Act, which governs unions, allows for the Registrar of Trade Unions, who is in the person of Mr. John Pinder, to intervene and to ensure that the elections of unions take place. So Mr. Pinder would have started that process by first inviting Mr. Rolle and his team to hold elections on 3 different occasions, as I understand it, in writing. And Mr. Rolle and his team refused to do so.
Other issues at hand is the refusal of WSC's executives to recognize the union's executive team that was elected. According to a press statement issued by the WSMU, Executive Chairman Adrian Gibson seemingly seeks to perpetuate a mischief by giving the erroneous impression that based upon a legal challenge initiated by the former president of the union against the Registrar of Trade Unions, that the election results are stayed due to the court action. The fact is there is no injunction and the election certificate is valid, the statement said. Currently, WSMU has an issue before the court in reference to this election with the Department of Labor. Mr. Miller also weighed in on that.
That once we would have assumed office, the membership, by way of resolution, 48 of our 72 members would have signed a resolution giving instructions to Mr. Obi Ferguson, who was the attorney working on this matter, to cease and desist of continuing this action against the Director of Labor. So as it stands, there really should be no action in the court with respect to the Water and Sewage Management Union and the Director of Labor.
Now, as to who's making decisions on behalf of the WSMU, outgoing President Ednal Rolle had this to say.
Because the matter before the court, the existing president predominates, right, until the matter is heard, which is me. You understand? But I say, in order to make sure that we all on his court to get that agreement signed, I have to concede some matters to him because he has been acting, as far as he's concerned, in that position, you see. But it's not, legally, it's not so.
Well, both Mr. Rolle and Mr. Miller were guests on Love 97's Issues of the Day discussing the matter. Obi Ferguson, lawyer for the unions, called into the show to confirm the legal president of WSMU.
In the courts, and I think that's for purposes of correctness and accuracy. I think it's important that it be known that the union, Ednal Rolle, is the president of the union.
Other concerns of the WSMU are the transfers and terminations of managers, allegations of wastage and abuse of WSC financial resources. Well, in less than a month, March 2nd to be exact, the government will sign a heads of agreement for the sale of the Grand Lucayan Resort and Casino, having finally secured a sale for the Grand Bahama Resort. In making the announcement in his national address last night, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis said it will help in the long-term recovery and renewal of Grand Bahama.
In order to restore the lives of people of Abaco and Grand Bahama, we must boost economic activity and development on both islands. On March 2nd, we will sign a heads of agreement for the sale of the Grand Lucayan Resort and Casino. This will help with the long-term recovery and renewal of Grand Bahama. It will result in scores of jobs during reconstruction and development, and long-term employment, business and entrepreneurial opportunities for the residents of Grand Bahama.
In 2018, the government purchased the resort for $65 million with an initial capital investment of $32.4 million, with a plan to sell as soon as possible. Lucayan Renewal Holdings Chairman Michael Scott told JCN's news team last September that Hurricane Dorian's devastation resulted in a deadline extension for an agreement to be made, but said they were in deep negotiations. Just last month, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest said the government was finalizing negotiations with Royal Caribbean Cruise Limited and the ITM Group concerning the sale of the resort. Abaco's economy also to get a boost 5 months post-Hurricane Dorian, the Prime Minister making the announcement of a $300 million investment for the island with a major project. That project, according to Dr. Minnis, is a 5-star resort and marina for South Abaco. The project was approved by the National Economic Council.
The capital investment is approximately $300 million and will help in the reconstruction and revival of Abaco. This development will include a full-size golf course.
The project is expected to employ approximately 600 people during the construction phase and thereafter, according to Dr. Minnis. The heads of agreement for the development of the resort and marina is scheduled to be signed tomorrow in Abaco. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.